How much money do you need to earn to be rich? Is it 6 figures, 7 figures, enough to retire tomorrow, or just enough to not panic at the grocery store every time prices go up?
1983. Okay.
So today we're not just guessing, we're diving into actual numbers. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand and what it really takes to be rich. Also, we'll see which is more important, how much you make or what you do with your money. If you're new here, then hi, I'm Akash, an entrepreneur, a product leader, and a classic overthinker with over a decade of experience building systems and habits to create wealth. And my aim with this channel is to help you escape mediocrity, make money even in the darkest of times, and ultimately help you thrive. Let's start with the simple idea. Being rich isn't just about earning a lot of money. Sure, for some people, rich might mean hitting 6 figures or buying a dream home. For others, it's about freedom, being able to travel, retire early, or just not worry about money anymore. But here's a fun fact. Today, most people making over 100K often don't feel rich.
You serious?
And so what it takes to feel rich isn't just about numbers, it's about how you think about money and what you do with it. It's very subjective. The real question then is, how much money would you need to actually feel rich? And then there's something called lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. The more you earn, the more you spend, and suddenly that race doesn't feel so big anymore. And so it's important to first define what rich really means to you. Something I've done time and again is journal about these things to have clarity. It might sound like a complete waste of time, but I would say it's very important for you to spend time with your thoughts to really uncover your true goals that'll make you happy. After having spent some time and assessed the plans for my coming year, my aim is to make an additional $10,000 after tax in 2025 every month starting April. This is on top of my day job, and I'm figuring out numerous ways to do that. How did I get to that? Well, I spent time with my thoughts, assessed my goals, and came to this practical number. So here's my question for you. How much money would it take for you to feel rich? Let me know down in the comment section below.
Go on, tell me.
By the way, everyone wants to be in the top 1% of all earners, but there's one thing most people get wrong about the top 1%, and this might actually be holding you back. But before we get into that, let's actually talk about the different income tiers in North America with actual numbers. So I remember when we had just moved to Canada, I was having this conversation with some of my friends and we were talking numbers. And one of my friends said that if you eventually get a salary of 200K, then you fall in the top 1% of all earners in North America. I mean, it sounded plausible and fairly reasonable too, and so no one disputed that. But now that I've done some research and looked at the actual stats, she couldn't be further from the truth. Alright, let's break down these numbers. In the US, the median household income in 2021 was around $70,000. Again, this isn't the average or the mean, but the median household income, meaning that there's about 50% of households that are earning above $70,000 and a 50% falling below that. Let's break this down even further from an individual earning perspective. If you're making over $41,000 a year, you're in the top 50%. If you're making over $85,000 a year, that puts you in the top 25%. And to fall in the top 1% in the US, you need to earn a whopping, drumroll please, $597,000 a year. Holy crap. Now for my fellow Canadian friends, things are slightly different. The median household income in 2022 was 70,500 Canadian. Again, let's break this down from an individual income perspective. You fall in the top 50% if you're making about 40K CAD per year. You fall in the top 10% if you're making about 145K CAD per year. And the top 1%, about $506,000 Canadian a year. Basically $500,000 per year. I'm not taking into account the conversion rates and all that, but fundamentally this should give you an idea of where you fall or stand. Where you fall or stand. I mean, it's funny how the same meaning can be conveyed using two different opposite forms, right? Like fall or stand. Anyway, of course these numbers are impressive, but they only tell part of the story. And here's where things get even more interesting. The perception of wealth. Like I mentioned earlier, what feels rich is so different for everyone. In a survey, most Americans said they needed at least $1 million in savings to feel rich. About Canadians, it's less about the number and more about being debt-free and owning their homes outright. I even put out a poll on LinkedIn asking this question to my connections, and this is the response I got. So it's clear that the perception of wealth by yourself and others is a huge deal. And simply aspiring to fall in a certain bracket alone isn't motivating or inspiration enough. For instance, the last time I traveled to India, I really felt rich and more importantly happy and content. My wife and I had decided that we'll spend on our families on every single opportunity we got. Go out to eat or order food in, I had my card ready. Holidaying in Goa or the beach, I jumped at the opportunity to pay. Buying my family things just cause, yeah, I was excited to do that too. And yeah, we didn't settle on anything and instead tried to go above and beyond and everything we possibly could. Now you might say it's because I earn in dollars now or it's PPP, purchasing power parity. True, but also because I had my finances in order, it gave me so much leeway and flexibility that I could easily afford it all without worrying about anything. And so this was one way of me feeling rich at the moment, and I'd like to double down on that. It's not just about what's in your bank account, it's about how secure and free you actually feel. And that's something numbers don't always capture. Speaking of security, What's more important, earning more money or saving and investing smarter? Well, this is where balance comes in. A lot of people say just invest more and you'll be fine. But let's be honest, if you're not earning enough, there's only so much you can save and invest. Like I've mentioned in my previous videos, you honestly have to do both. Like earn more, whether that's leveling up your skills, switching industries, or starting a side hustle, and investing smarter in stocks, real estate, bonds, or even yourself. If I were to just pick one, I choose figuring out how to earn more money, especially earlier in your career. So if that's the case, when do you actually start saving and investing? Well, here's a small snippet from one of my previous videos that drives this message home. I do believe you need to build a habit of saving and investing very early on when you're not rich, so that it sets the precedent for when you do have the money or when you do become rich. Personally, saving always came naturally to me. Even with all the pocket money I got when I was a kid, I'd save the shit out of it.
Do you have pockets? Are you putting that in pockets? That's so cute.
And once I started earning, it became even more of a second nature. I don't know if saving can become second nature, but that's just how things always have been for me. Investing, on the other hand, is something I picked up recently. I think it was 2021 or so. That's like, what, 3 years ago? And I didn't get into it earlier because I found the topic so overwhelming, I had no idea where to start. But you know what? I'm actually glad I didn't start up until then, because before that, I was more focused on learning, building my skill set, and increasing my income as opposed to focusing on getting like an 8% return every year. And by the time I learned the art of investing, I was making some significant money, which helped really build my investment corpus. And that's the trend even today, actually. I'm still focused more on how I can increase my earning potential while spending little time on studying the best investment options out there. I believe that's the same thing the top 1% does really well. It's not just about earning more or investing more, it's about really leveraging both. They use their income to create or buy assets, businesses, real estate, stocks, and those assets generate even more money. And that's how they build wealth over time. So how much money do you really need to feel rich? Well, the truth is, it's different for everyone, like what we've seen in this video. What really matters is earning more, investing smart, and defining wealth in a way that actually feels meaningful to you. But while we're on the topic of building wealth, there's something interesting I've realized. Like some of the advice we've been taught about money, things like budgeting every penny, or believing that home ownership is the ultimate financial goal, can sometimes hold us back more than help us. Click here to see a breakdown of why budgeting might actually be stopping you from getting rich. It's a perspective shift you don't want to miss. And if you have ever wondered whether owning a home is as great as everyone says, I've got another video here exposing the surprising truths about home ownership that no one really talks about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you probably here or wherever.